What if I told you that the electric vehicle that could disrupt Tesla didn't come from America, China, or Germany, but from India, and not from some billion-dollar auto giant, but from a humble, quiet startup? At a time when the world thought only Elon Musk and BYD held the keys to the electric future, India has shocked the global auto industry with a solar-powered electric car that costs less than $5,000. That's right. While Americans pay $25,000 and up for basic EVs, Indians might drive into the future with just 4 lakh rupees. How is this even possible? Is this Indian innovation real or just a temporary buzz? And how will Tesla, BYD, Hyundai, and Volkswagen respond now that a budget-friendly EV has suddenly entered the race, powered by nothing but sunlight? Stay with me, because what you're about to discover might change how you think about the electric revolution forever. The global EV race until now was a 3-horse contest. The US, with Tesla at the front, China, with its aggressive state-backed manufacturers like BYD, and Europe, with luxury electric fleets led by Mercedes, BMW, and Volkswagen. India, until recently, barely in the conversation. But that's no longer true. Let's rewind a bit. A few years ago, most global analysts wrote India off as a follower in the EV space. A market maybe, but definitely not an innovator. Fast forward to 2025, and now the same analysts are scrambling to understand how a $4,900 solar EV from India has rattled the very foundations of the electric car market. This isn't just about affordability. It's about the kind of innovation that makes Silicon Valley pause. Meet the Wave EVA, a tiny car with a monumental impact, engineered in Pune by a startup few had heard of until recently, Wave Mobility. This EV is India's first solar-powered electric car, and possibly the most disruptive vehicle since the original Tesla Roadster. While Americans are still waiting for Tesla's so-called $25,000 Model 2, India has delivered a working, road-ready EV for less than 1/5 of that price. Think about that. Less than $5,000. In a world where the average new car costs $48,000. So what's the catch? Shockingly, there isn't one. And that's what's terrifying automakers from California to Shanghai. This car charges itself with sunlight. Literally, the roof is lined with solar panels that, under normal sunlight, can add 10 to 12 kilometers of range every single day without plugging in. Combine that with a lithium-ion battery that gives a base range of around 250 kilometers, and suddenly, the average city commuter might not need to charge their car for an entire week. In countries like the US, where grid electricity and charging infrastructure are still catching up, this kind of self-sufficient vehicle is a dream, especially in sun-soaked states like Arizona, Texas, or California. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. This isn't just a car, it's a statement. At a time when most EV manufacturers are chasing luxury markets and piling on expensive features, Wave EVA is built for the everyday person. No excess, no overdesign, just smart, solar-driven engineering. The body is made from ultra-lightweight aluminum and composite fibers, cutting weight and maximizing range. Inside, it comfortably fits 2 adults and 1 child, perfect for tight urban roads and traffic-heavy cities. You'd expect a cheap shell, right? Wrong. The EVA includes air conditioning, a touchscreen console, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and even voice assistant support. For under $5,000. Let that sink in. Tesla can barely sell floor mats for that price. The West believed innovation meant bigger batteries, faster acceleration, and autonomous tech. India looked at the problem differently. How do we make EVs accessible to everyone, especially in developing nations? Because here's the truth that big companies won't admit. Sustainability means nothing if it's only affordable to the rich. In the US, even federal subsidies can't bring down EV prices for average buyers. In Europe, EVs are marketed as luxury status symbols. And in China, despite massive volume, prices are still far beyond the reach of the poor. But with EVA, India just proved that the EV revolution can start from the bottom up, and the world is noticing. When VAVE Mobility unveiled EVA at the Auto Expo 2025, it wasn't just India media that went wild. Headlines flashed across Bloomberg, Reuters, and even the Wall Street Journal. Some called the Model T of solar cars. Others called a wake-up call for the global EV elite. Even engineers at BYD and Volkswagen were reportedly stunned at how such a compact, sustainable car could be mass-produced so cheaply. So how did a tiny Indian startup pull off what billion-dollar automakers haven't? It all started with a visionary engineer named Sarung Dam, a dreamer, yes, but also a realist. He asked a simple question: can we build an EV for the common man without compromising on sustainability? He wasn't interested in fancy gimmicks, just practical, scalable solutions. His team designed EVA from scratch using off-the-shelf parts wherever possible. They 3D printed molds, hand-fabricated components, and relentlessly optimized every part to lower costs without lowering value. They cut weight, simplified software, focused on the 80% use case, urban driving under 50 kilometers per day. And instead of waiting for better infrastructure, they made the car charge itself. India's intense sun became an advantage, not a challenge. While Americans pay more for electricity and wait in line at Tesla superchargers, EVA just basks in the sunlight and recharges for free. It's not just a vehicle. It's an idea, a movement, and that idea is spreading. Reports suggest VAVE Mobility is already exploring exports to Africa, Southeast Asia, and even Southern Europe. Regions where fuel prices are high, infrastructure is weak, but sunlight is abundant. Meanwhile, companies like Tesla are still teasing future budget models. But VAVE has already delivered, quietly, without hype. And that's what makes this story so important. Because if India can do it, what's stopping others? Governments around the world are watching. In the U.S., policymakers are now reevaluating how EV subsidies are distributed. Should we keep giving money to big companies making $50,000 cars, or invest in startups solving real-world problems at scale? Even China, the world's largest EV manufacturer, is looking over its shoulder. For the first time, an Indian innovation has them worried. Now let's be honest. EVA isn't a Tesla killer. Not yet. It's not built for highways or long-distance travel. It's not a luxury car. But that's not the point. The point is, EVs don't have to be expensive. They don't have to be elite. They don't even have to be plugged in. Sometimes, all it takes is sunlight and a smart idea. India has just redrawn the map of the EV world. And this time, it's not a follower. It's a leader. VAVE EVA is the face of this revolution. A car that started as a dream, became a prototype, and is now a global headline. It's not just about cost or convenience. It's about what's possible when you think differently. And that's what makes this story bigger than a car. It's a symbol of what's coming. If you found this story eye-opening, insightful, and maybe even a little inspiring, subscribe now to AI Insight. We don't just tell you what's happening. We decode the future, one innovation at a time. And don't forget to hit that bell icon, because in a world where tech changes overnight, the next revolution is always one video away. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the world is ready for a $5,000 solar EV? Would you drive one? Let's start the conversation.